Hey, welcome in.
Welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast.
We are here coming to you live. Let me tell you, the dopamine, it's flowing.
I am damn excited.
We are so excited to be joining you guys tonight.
Oh!
Well, how you doing, man? Patrick.
Will Sterling.
Yeah.
Super Bowl champion, two-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
And he picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna score!
And we'll see you next week. But until then, as always, go Chiefs.
Welcome into the Arrowhead Addict podcast. It is a rainy day here in Kansas City, but the sun is always shining here on the Intangibles. It is the week of 4th of July. There's a lot of good things to talk about. Not all of them football, but that's okay. Here to do it with me is Christian Ainsworth. Christian, how you doing, my sir?
Dude, I'm insanely happy. We got football news today. If you can believe it, July 20th or June 30th, excuse me, we've got football. Exciting, man.
Yeah, you alluded to it a little bit. Just kind of a weird trade between the Steelers and the Dolphins. It was a foregone conclusion that Jalen Ramsey was getting traded. It was just to who. So at first, whenever I was reading some of the tweets and stuff, because I was not on my phone doing stuff, I was like, wow, what is this reaction? Like, I was like, this is huge. This is crazy. Blockbuster, which I don't know. I like if we've known this guy's going to be traded forever, it kind of doesn't feel like it, but either way, then there's a 5th and a 7th round pick that's going, I can't remember which way, but essentially the Steelers trade for Jonnu Smith, who has been with Arthur Smith 3 times now, which is just weird. And Jonnu Smith, who had a really good season last year. I don't think anybody expected that. He was a guy that might have saved your fantasy football season last year if you picked him up at the right time. They get Jonnu Smith and Jalen Ramsey from the Dolphins and then send Minkah Fitzpatrick back to where he started his career in Miami. Just kind of a strange pick where there for a second, I remember seeing a tweet that was like, kind of entailing the whole secondary of the Steelers, and it's like Minkah, Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slay, whatever, you know what I'm saying, and having all those guys up there, and it's like, oh no, well, that's not what happened. So just kind of an odd trade. I'm not sure what the Steelers are doing.
Oh yeah, well, it's exciting for the Dolphins to win a trade finally. It seems like every trade they've been in recently has just been awful for them. Like the trade,
I'm not even sure there's a winner of this trade. Like, so
really,
they get
Minkah in cap space is better than Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu.
I don't know, man. They used him a lot this year. Like they really did. And I mean, I don't know. Both are very good players on the back part of their career when it comes to Minkah and Jalen Ramsey. But I don't know. I just kind of have a hard time declaring a winner there. It's just kind of a weird trade. If they were just going to, I guess they just kind of did a straight salary cap dump, but I don't know. It's an interesting trade nonetheless. But let's talk about some other stuff here. Real quick, I alluded to it. It's the week of 4th of July. This is this is the last time we'll talk before 4th of July. I am a huge 4th of July guy. I feel like it's an extremely underrated holiday. Not just because of, like some people, they're not really into all the things that America does all the time, so they don't necessarily want to be patriotic. But 4th of July is one of the times that we get to watch one of the premier American sporting events in the country. Are you aware of what I'm talking about? It happens every 4th of July.
Maybe not.
Oh, the Nathan's hot dog eating contest? You're not familiar with this?
All right.
Yeah. Like people like Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Messi, who's the most dominant? Jordan, who's the most dominant male athlete ever? It's Joey Blinken Chestnut, okay? He puts down to those glizzies like nobody's business. He's going to be competing in the hot dog eating contest again. I will have it set to TiVo. I usually record it. I'm not that hardcore, but it is good to watch some of the other events that happened before. It's not just the hot dog eating contest, but Joey Chestnut, the true GOAT, will go back at it. So that's exciting. Also, like, I love just the aura around 4th of July. Like people wearing kind of like fun clothes that are America themed. You got, George Washington riding a bald eagle carrying like M16s or something. Like I'm here for it. You get the Old Navy. Did you and your family ever get the Old Navy shirts?
No, the Old Navy shirts. No.
You know what I'm talking about?
No, I seriously no idea.
Are you white? Are you actually white? I'm not
Dude, come on now.
I'm no wonder
Come on
here.
now.
So white person rite of passage. The Old Navy. So Old Navy, it's a store. You know what Old Navy is, right?
Yeah, yes. Okay.
It's like affiliated with Gap, but not. Anyways, every year they just have this really generic 4th of July shirt, and it has like an American flag on it. They change the design subtly every year, and it just has the year on it. So like Independence Day 2025 or whatever. And for some reason, everyone's parents, especially like millennials, everyone's parents bought these, and like the whole family wears them. And like my kids, we always get them. Like it's a thing. You got to have them. And
so there might not be some overlap here because every year around this time I go to family trip to Colorado, and there's like it's kind of a weird split pace to be for 4th of July because there's no fireworks allowed usually because of all the burn bans and stuff like that.
Okay.
But there is like really, really good food. That's like the big thing. There's a bunch of like street vendors.
I thought you were going to talk about that. Like Colorado doesn't really do 4th of July, and I was like, "Isn't it?"
Oh
in
no.
I swear it's still in America. I know it's a little bit of ways, but I swear that yeah. Okay, so I agree. Elite food holiday. So we've got an activity here to do today. We're going to build the best 4th of July plate imaginable because it's a nice combo between like barbecue, sweets. You gotta, when you're setting off explosives, you gotta mix in alcohol. It's a rite of passage. So here we've got this little grid here. And for those of you that are audio only, we'll do our best to describe. But we've got an entree, a side, a dessert, and a beverage. So you get to build your own plate here with one item from each category. So Christian, I want you to go first. What entree you're choosing? We've got cheeseburgers, bratwurst, not hot dogs, brats. Ribs or wings? What's the first thing going on that 4th of July plate when you're at the cookout?
Ooh, well, my twin blood is begging me to choose the bratwurst here, so I gotta go with the bratwurst. Super simple, super easy to make. You throw some mustard on that bun, maybe toast it a little bit. You've got a hell of an entree.
Dude, I love brats. Brats are so freaking good. Hy-Vee, shout out to them. Their brats are always so good. You can like pretty much always go buy like 8 of them for $12. Get the jalapeno cheddar or the pineapple one. Those are really good. Boy, ribs are just so hit and miss for me. Like went over to a buddy's house yesterday, made a brisket. The brisket was incredible. Super great bark ring on it. Ribs overdone, pretty dry, not that good. Did not go back for seconds on the ribs. I think I'm going to take the wings. You just can't beat wings, man. Put so many of those bad boys down. Love them. But I would be happy with all 3 of things. Okay, next thing here. Some people were wondering what this is. So you got baked beans on the sides, potato salad, some street corn, which street corn is not to be trifled with, and a jalapeno popper. Jalapeno poppers, in case you don't know, jalapenos, cream cheese, bacon, a Midwestern classic. What side are you going for?
So classically, every Ainsworth family get together has baked beans in one form or another, but I gotta go with the jalapeno poppers, man. Like super versatile. Always, I've never had a bad jalapeno popper. Baked beans can be okay or disgusting depending on the situation.
Coming from Kansas City, like I've had baked beans that aren't like barbecue sweet ones. You know what I mean? I'm not really a fan of like a tangy bean. I like my sweet beans, the molasses, you can have a little like Joe's that's got the brisket in it. Ugh, so good. Yeah, I'm going with the street corn. I don't know what it is, but I could just put away some corn on the cob, man. Of course, doused in butter and salt, just the way to have it, right? But I'm going after that corn. Also, I got the zest. I got the spice of the wings. Don't want to overkill it with the jalapeno poppers. Occasionally, you get some hot jalapenos. You get the ones that are red. Those things really get after you. All right, desserts. We got this one. Have you ever had a fruit pizza before?
I have, yes.
Okay. A fruit pizza. We've got like these little Rice Krispie treats. You just take it like a sweet treat. A bombsicle, or nothing is more American than a slice of apple pie. What are you getting?
Bomb pop, easy for me. Rice Krispies are too bland, man.
I agree. These ones, they look like they're decorated with like white chocolate, but yeah, Rice Krispie treats, like my grandma makes them. She puts butterscotch chips in them. That sweetens it up quite a bit. You still got the
Yep.
marshmallow flavor on it, but boy, the apple. This is a weird comment. I actually don't like warm pie. I like pie, but I like it like room temperature or chilled. Don't like hot pie
Just in
because
all settings.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, I don't know. Like, I when we go camping and stuff, I use a Dutch oven, and I'll make like cobbler, which the Dutch oven. But I like to cool it down. Like, I don't know, like, because what do you want to put on that slice of apple pie, Christian? You want
Some ice cream.
Yeah, some vanilla ice cream. You don't want a melting
It's
situation
creamy.
here. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
That's a creamy disaster is what that is. All right. And so I'm going wings, street corn, apple pie, and for my drink, man, if you're at a 4th of July party, you're gonna be outside. It's probably gonna be hot. I don't want to drink a whole lot. Like I don't want to get messy. I don't want to get sloshy. So I want to nurse something. So it's definitely going to be a beer for me. Just an ice cold, something light, a summer shandy, maybe a Coors or something like that. Something that's kind of crap beer, but I can sit there and nurse on because I want to stay nimble. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to get feeling all bogged down like I'm getting tired. For the looks like we got like a mixed drink, a seltzer, a soda. What do you choose?
Yeah. Red, white, and berry. I think that's the perfect drink if you're going to drink outside. I think whether you're on a float trip, whether you're with your boys camping, whether you're doing anything for 4th of July, that's just the go-to. So it tastes really good, super cheap. I do love a summer shandy, but the red, white, and berry is just too good to pass up.
I don't know what it is about seltzers. They give me a headache like nothing else. Like if I start doing seltzies, like if a White Claw or two in, they give me a headache. Something in them just gives me a headache. I don't know. Seriously, while I'm drinking them too, it's not like a hangover thing. It's just like they give me a headache. But okay, well, let us know in the comments what you're getting. Looks like Joshua's building his play. He's got wings, poppers, Rice Krispie treats, red, white, and berry. Good choices all around. There's no wrong answer. The correct answer is going back up for another plate and getting more. Okay,
Damn right.
Let's be honest. I'm going to go up there and I'm going to get the wings, get my corn, and then I might snag some of those poppers, put them on the side, and then like do the walk by where you like don't have a plate, but you just grab a brat and a bun and I don't know. It just happened in my hands, you know?
It doesn't count. It's not on a plate.
Yeah, it doesn't count. It's not on a plate. Exactly. Okay, well, today we're going to talk about the Chiefs stat prediction. So Christian and I have been doing this for a long time together, actually, since we started podcasting together. But we are going to kind of break down the stats for what we think each kind of key contributor for the Chiefs is going to have. I think it makes the most sense, Christian, to do this where we talk about the running backs and wide receivers, then we'll get to the quarterback that way. Because if we give the quarterback, I think that kind of gives away some of it. So basically what we've just gone and done, I don't know about you. I meant to text you, Christian. I just did rushing yards for the running backs. Did you do receiving yards as well too?
Okay. Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Did you do total touchdowns then? Or did you do...
I just did rushing
did you break
touchdowns. Yeah, I just did rushing touchdowns, but I'm flexible. I can show you what I can do. Okay. So we're going to go for the running backs, wide receivers, the tight ends, and then defense is a little hard. So we went with kind of the key sack getters. And then we just asked the question, who will lead the team in interceptions? So let's start with the running back position. Always lots of conversation around running back this offseason. Let's get to the nitty gritty. How many yards do you have rushing for Isaiah Pacheco in 2025?
Rushing yards, and I think that's for a few reasons. I think that
can you repeat it real quick?
Back draft.
You cut out real quick.
Yeah, what?
Can you repeat it?
Okay.
I don't know if the listeners were able to hear it, but I wasn't able to hear your total, so it was just I just heard you talking. Sorry.
Okay, 1,005 rushing yards. That's what I have with 5 rushing touchdowns. So he's a feature back. I think that they haven't added anybody super. They didn't add anybody in free agency that would really poach a lot of his attempts or anything like that. So I think 1,005 is probably where he'll be. I like 4-7 yards per attempt. If I'm getting down to the nitty gritty, I think he's going to be really, really effective. Offensive line is kind of revamped, so it's a little hard to describe, but at least 200 touches and 1,000 yards for Pacheco.
So you're saying this year will be Isaiah Pacheco's best years? Is kind of what you're stating.
Might be his last year in Kansas City as well.
Well, I mean, that, contract year undefeated. Therese
Mhm.
Paylor said it greatly himself. That is true. So this would actually be the best running back season that Patrick Mahomes has ever had. As far as behind him, he's never had 1,000-yard rusher because Kareem Hunt
Well,
left the team in
oh, yes, that's
2018.
right.
Yeah,
Yep.
so Kareem Hunt never did. And then 19 was Damian Williams late. He wasn't a part of the team the whole time. They were, running around with LaShawn McCoy some. Clyde Edwards-Helaire got hurt. He was
Ooh.
on pace to do that and hasn't been able to ever get back on that track. And Pacheco hasn't eclipsed it yet. So bold.
He's
I
gotten
like
close,
it.
though. He's gotten
He
close.
has-
He had
he's
over
gotten
900
close,
yards
yeah.
one of those years.
Yes. I have Pacheco at 750 yards and 4 touchdowns. I do think that he will be the lead back. I think that he is going to see a lot of first and second down touches, and that it will be kind of his primary thing. I think, I went low on the touchdowns because I think that they have a back who will be better at that. And I do think that they like to throw down in the red zone too. And I'm also kind of banking on this offense being a little bit more explosive, right? Like that's part of what I'm baking in here is that they won't necessarily have to grind the ball as much as they did this past year. So hopefully this time there aren't as many like first and goal from the 3, second and goal from the 2, etc. Like they can maybe get it all in one chunk with a pass play. So I don't have him eclipsing 1,000 yards. And frankly, I'm factoring in that he'll probably get hurt here. Like this is something that's happened every year for him, basically, or at least the last 2 years that he's got hurt at some point. It may not be a massive injury like he had this year, but I do think that he will probably get hurt. And I think that, the Chiefs are aware that he's on the last year of his rookie deal and what may look in other places for productivity. Kareem Hunt, what do you have for Kareem Hunt?
I have 224 rushing yards, 4 rushing touchdowns, and he's barely averaging 3.2 yards per attempt. I know you see Hunt as kind of the third down running back here, but I really see his value along the goal line in these short yardage situations. We saw once Pacheco went down and Kareem Hunt came into the fold, like his best trait was by far his vision. He didn't have the burst. He didn't have, some of the agility that he had in years past, but whenever we needed 2 yards, Kareem Hunt was always there to pick it up and get those yards. I see that. And I see an older player, he's 29, about to be 30. See them saving him a little bit for the playoffs as well. There's a few players that we have on this list that are going to be, 30 or older or approaching 30. And, that might be a situation where we save his legs for later in the year to the playoffs, like we did with Jerick McKinnon in years past.
For me, so we kind of were on the same path. I just have a little bit more productivity for him. Again, banking on Pacheco. It makes sense, right? You've got Pacheco getting over 1,000 yards. You probably aren't going to have Kareem Hunt with a ton. This isn't going to turn into the Ravens or a team that runs the ball a ton. I've got Kareem Hunt with 410 yards and 6 touchdowns. I agree with you. Goal line back. I think that is where he does some of his best work. I do think that he will play some in the stead of Isaiah Pacheco whenever he's hurt. And then ultimately, I just kind of went and looked at his stats from his time in Cleveland, right? Where there was a much better, but an established running back in front of him. This is how his numbers went since 2021. 386 and 5, 468 and 3, 411 and 9. And then last year in Kansas City, 728 and 7. So that's what he looks like as a complimentary back. The receiving yards, I know we're not doing receiving yards, but receiving yards, he's usually around 174, 210, 84, 70, 176. So I think the pass protection obviously is going to be huge there. But I do think that if the Chiefs are going to get to where they want to this year, I think that they will probably still have to rely on Kareem Hunt quite a bit, which is him being in training camp good or bad. You can tell yourself a story either way. Well, he came off the couch last year. He'll be much better this year. Or is he going to break down way faster because he's going to be up in St. Joe grinding? I will say I do think that he looks like he's in a little bit better shape and just some of the videos and stuff that they've seen. But it's that time of year. He's also going to be 30, right? I'm also convinced that his dreads being longer and wearing 29 just makes him look slower in general. Like if he would cut his hair and go back to 27, he would automatically bring back more aura.
Dude, 100%.
I don't know what it is. 29 is just not a good running back.
Underrated.
Yeah. I posted a meme that was
if I see a wide receiver with go ahead.
Oh, I was saying I posted a meme the other day of like drinking in my 20s, drinking in my 30s, and drinking in my 20s was just like the Kareem Hunt 27, and then 29 Kareem Hunt drinking in my 30s because that's what it feels like most of the time.
Well, dude, I would like to know how many people just look at the outfits of the players and be like, oh, he's probably good. Like I saw Luther Burden one time before he played any. He was just like in an off-season camp, and he had like the dark visor, and he had the gloves and the elbow things. I was like, dude, he's the best wide receiver on the team. I haven't seen him play, but he's got to be. Like the aura there is crazy for him not to be fantastic. But do you see Smith kind of poaching some of Hunt's workload here? Because that's kind of where I was headed with my next assessment here.
I will say I like Rashee Smith, and I do think that the path for him as a player there's a runway there that is exciting. I'm also not as high on him this year as I think some people are. We didn't factor in Elijah Mitchell because I think that's kind of a wild card, and also we didn't want to go into every single player in every single position. But I do think that Mitchell will likely make the team and will have some role on this team, which makes it even harder for Rashee Smith. Keep in mind, Rashee Smith, like, calling card is going to be the passing production, right? Like, he can run between the tackles. There's nice skill set there. But in order to be on the field and passing downs, it's not like, okay, we're coming onto the field, Rashee Smith, you're going to catch the ball this time. It's, oh, hey, we're out here and look at this. They're bringing up pressure from the inside. Rashee Smith, you now have to pass protect. And here comes Dre Greenlaw or whatever. And you need to be able to pass protect. Like, that's a big part of his job. And whether he can do that or not is going to decide how much he plays on third down. So for him, I have 120 rushing yards and 1 touchdown. Maybe there's some blowout there. I do think that they will try to get him going in some design touches and stuff, because I do think they like him as an athlete. Could be some jet sweeps, or think about the kind of like sprint out handouts that they did to Tyreek and Kadarius Toney, where they used to hand the ball to them pretty good, which, by the way, I still wish that they would do that more. Where they're in shotgun and then, like, it looks like Pat's getting ready to roll out and then sticks the ball in the gut of the running back, and then they usually have like a wall of blockers on the other side. So that's what I think. And I think, return game will be a big part of his role this year. And that's what they've kind of made it sound like in the media too. We've lost Christian. Don't worry. He's okay. This is what happens regularly now. I'm not sure. We need to get in touch with his ISP there. But yeah, Rashee Smith, I think the path to say that he's going to take over this job and be a running back one, I think that's a stretch. I would be surprised if we're sitting here talking about that. He's just got 2 much more experienced backs in front of him. I think he needs to be looked at closer to, I don't want to say a gadget player because that's such a derogatory term, but a player that you're designing opportunities for right now. So I'm going to go on to the wide receivers here, and we'll catch Christian's running back predictions here in a moment. So wide receivers, I think, is definitely the most interesting, right? Especially because this is the year. I think it's a really under talked about thing that for the last 3 years, since Tyreek Hill was traded, we've been talking about wide receivers establishing chemistry with Patrick Mahomes. How is Mahomes building chemistry with Juju and MVS? How is it going to be building chemistry with Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney and all those guys when they were here? And then that was the story with Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown last year. He had started building rapport with Rashee Rice that really started to come on towards the latter part of 2023. This year, you have 3 guys who have all been in this offense with Patrick Mahomes through a training camp now. And they have played in playoff games with Patrick Mahomes. So I think that might be the most exciting part of the Chiefs offense this year. Is the fact that all these wide receivers, they know the offense. They know what Pat likes. They've been to the Camp Mahomes down in Texas and worked with him. They know where he wants to break off a route, where he wants to put the ball in their hands, etc. So not a surprise here. For Rashee Rice, I have 1,250 yards and 9 touchdowns. That's a really good season. Tyreek Hill has had some seasons bigger than that here in Kansas City. But that is one of the best wide receiver seasons we've seen with Patrick Mahomes. For his numbers, I usually like to try to go look at players' seasons to see, some representations. So I went to Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's the player that I kind of modeled his numbers after. That's a very Amon-Ra St. Brown type of season. 1,250 yards, 9 touchdowns. Christian, can you hear me?
Yes, I got you.
Okay, welcome back. Wrap up your Brashard Smith real quick.
So I have 196 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns. I agree with you. I like the sort of gadget role that he's going to play. And I think there's a real situation where he gets more receiving yards technically than rushing yards. Like with some of those pitches, I think they'll use him a lot in that like pistol formation where it's like Pat Mahomes and then right next to him is 2 running backs and then a running back behind him. And they just kind of switch it up and do some crazy stuff at the goal line. But I heard you talking about Rashee Rice. How excited are you for his season this year?
Well, I was talking about that. I think like one of the most underspoken, undercovered things going on this season is the fact that for the first time since Tyreek Hill, the Chiefs have 3 wide receivers who have talent, who have played in the playoffs, who have played in this offense before. They shouldn't be working on establishing chemistry with Mahomes. So Rashee Rice, I'm very bullish on. I went to Amon-Ra St. Brown's page and kind of looked at like what his seasons look like. 1,250 yards, 9 touchdowns. That'd basically be the best wide receiver season since Tyreek Hill in 2018 here in Kansas City. What do you have for Rashee Rice?
I did the exact same thing you did, man. 1,323 receiving yards. Yep. I went to Amon-Ra St. Brown's page and I was like, could he do 15? Maybe. I think Chiefs have just a few more options than the Lions did that year, but 112 receptions, 7 receiving TDs. I think this is like this will be the best wide receiver Mahomes has had since Tyreek Hill, and I don't think it'll be close.
I think the biggest thing here is just, is he going to get suspended? Right. And that's a question that I'm not sure anybody knows the answer to anymore. It seems to only get murkier and murkier. Would I be surprised if we woke up tomorrow and he was suspended 6 games? No. Would I be surprised if he played all of the season in playoffs? Also no. It will happen eventually. What he did was a very, very bad thing. And I do think that the NFL is probably doing some damage control here by being able to distance themselves from the actual event. But keep in mind, when Rashee Rice gets suspended, all of that is going to be brought up again. The videos of him getting out of the car, those things will come back. So that image, those things, the league can't totally separate themselves from. So for me, no player hinges more this season and whether the offense is going to get back to being explosive or not than Hollywood Brown. Here's why. I know what Rashee Rice can give this team. I know what Xavier Worthy can give this team. I think that they will try to use him down the field more and try to, use some of that field stretching that we saw towards the latter part of the season or earlier part of the season. Latter part of the season, he became more of a Rashee Rice gadget type of player. What I'm wondering is, what can Hollywood Brown bring to this offense? Because we didn't get a good look at him. Obviously, he comes back from the injury, looked pretty promising in the regular season, and then just disappeared in the playoffs. And I think that's not really gone talked about much, right? He played in 2 games in 2024, had 91 yards on 9 catches. That's pretty good. That's 10 yards a reception. Then you go to the playoffs. He plays in 3 games, 5 receptions, 50 yards. And it felt like 3 of them came on the first drive of the AFC Championship. And for the rest of the time, he mostly disappeared. Now, if you want some hope in what Hollywood Brown can be, factor this in. He's played in the NFL for 6 years now. He missed 15 games last year. His career average for a 17-game season is 858 yards. That's including some other seasons when he's missed. In 2022, he plays 12 games. In 2023, he plays 14 games. 2024, he plays 2 games. He's still averaging 858 yards. I don't think he's getting that. But if he could be, again, I went and did this. I went and looked at a Sammy Watkins season in Kansas City. If he can be 650 yards and 3 touchdowns, I think you're thrilled. And that's what I have him for. They've got to have someone who can just be reliable to get open and man coverage and really factor in like, okay, you've got Kelce, you've got Rashee Rice doing the power slot stuff. Hopefully you have Xavier Worthy stretching the field. If the Chiefs offense is going to get where they want it to go, I think Hollywood Brown needs to have a good season.
See, and I think he just missed his time. Like, I think last year was the year. Like, if he was going to come in and play really well and establish that connection, I think it had to have been last year, because now you're in the situation where you built up this rapport with Xavier Worthy. You have the on-field chemistry. We saw it in the Super Bowl of all places that come to, what it could be. Rashee Rice, first 3 games of the year, 96 yards a game. Like that's insane production. That's one of the greatest wide receiver seasons of all time if it's through 17 games. Other than getting schemed open, he was not beating people a whole lot. There were a lot of design plays that he got the ball in, that put him in a situation. I kind of see that same sort of role with maybe just a little bit expanded. Like he plays the X a little bit, putting him out there, throwing him a few go balls. I think 458 yards is kind of where I see him, with 2 touchdowns, maybe some breakaways, some schemed open stuff. But I there's just too many mouths to feed, which is crazy to say looking back on last year's roster.
Yeah, and I do feel like he did not look like as explosive as he's looked in the past. To be clear, Hollywood Brown is very different than like Xavier Worthy, because Brown is not a big yards after catch guy. Never has been. Xavier Worthy has that skill set more. Obviously, they're both small, but Brown will catch the ball and go out of bounds. Like there's plenty of examples of that. And I'm not sure if he just wasn't in football shape because he wasn't able to condition when he had the shoulder injury, but it was his shoulder, not a lower body injury. Like we've told ourselves with Isaiah Pacheco, where it's like, well, of course his explosiveness is gone. Like he's got, screws and pins in his ankle right now. So yeah, again, I just feel like he is the biggest difference maker here, unless you're predicting, a big season from an unforeseen contributor, so like a Jalen Royals or something like that. Because I think what you're going to get out of Rice and Worthy. So let's get to Xavier Worthy. Big season for him last year. I have him taking another step forward. I think year 2 is the year for those players to do that. I think he's getting more comfortable with it. And I also look at the 2.5 minute highlight low light reel that I made on Twitter of missed opportunities for him deep, whether it be Mahomes or him getting off. If 2 of those hit, his season already looks different. So I've got him for 800 yards and 7 touchdowns. I think that they like him as a guy down in the red zone that can do some unique things. So we've seen them get him some touches. There's probably a rushing touchdown in there or something too. 800 yards is more than last year. I don't know that the Chiefs are going to have 2 receivers over 1,000 yards though. So 807 is what I've got Worthy at.
Yeah, it would be tough to see 2 wide receivers go over 1,000. I love what you said about Worthy in the red zone. Worthy was one of these players where you put up the montage about him missing deep throws or deep catches, and part of that's positioning and running and practicing with Patrick Mahomes different than you're playing in a game. But also some of that is just like missed opportunities in terms of I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. Let's look at Xavier Worthy's play, right? And somehow he can get open off the line of scrimmage very, very quickly, probably because of his speed and probably because people are threatened by that long speed. So he's getting open on these switch routes, these out routes that usually, a bigger, stockier receiver might have trouble getting separation on. But downfield too, I really could see him completely. Worthy's one of those players where he could get 1,500 yards or he could get 700 yards, and you'd be like, yeah, I expected that. I'm a little bit more hesitant to give that 1,500 yards. I've got him at 724 with 7 touchdowns. He's going to be a red zone threat. He's going to be one of those guys that gets a few breakaways during the game. And I think this year with Rashee Rice and Marquise Brown having a whole season, I think that just puts him in prime position to just take advantage, be super, super efficient, and play really, really good football.
Yeah. Just as a heads up, I did retweet the clip that I was talking about. It's a minute and a half of Xavier Worthy, all 22 missed shots. And then I just had Richard put it in the chat too, if you want to check that out. And then, empty a bottle of bourbon or something. Cause it's so easy to see how his season could have just been so much different. And there's ones that are on him and there's ones that are on Patrick, and they've definitely got to get that chemistry better down the field. But yeah, I mean, I think, so I've got Rice at 1,250, Brown at 650, Worthy at 800. One thing that I want to point out is I think this offense is going much closer to what it was as far as relying on players in 2018, 2019. You basically had Tyreek, Sammy Watkins, Demarcus Robinson. Those guys were playing a bulk of the wide receiver snaps, right? You had some dabbles of some other players in there, but for the most part, and like Byron Pringle started getting in there and stuff like that as time went on. But the Chiefs these last couple of years have been really like hell-bent on keeping 7 wide receivers on the roster, and I'm just not sure that that's the best thing for them. As far as I feel like these players, they need some time, they need some rapport, they need snaps, they need to kind of get going in a game. So having that heavy rotation, I'm not sure it's the best thing. So it would have been like, in 2019, Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, McCole Hardman, Demarcus Robinson. Those are the 4 leading receivers besides Travis Kelce on the team. That year, Tyreek, he got hurt, 860 yards. Sammy Watkins, 673. McCole, 538, great rookie year from him. Demarcus Robinson, 449. And then the next wide receiver, all the way down at 8th on the team, 170 yards for Byron Pringle, K-State legend. So, I just think that they're going to lean more on these guys than the others. But let's get to the rookie, Jalen Royals out of Utah State. One thing, like if I could like have a New Year's resolution for the Chiefs, it would be for them to find out if Jalen Royals can do the Rashee Rice stuff and find that out quickly. One, there's a chance that Rashee Rice gets suspended, right? Their skill sets have quite a bit of overlap. 2, you're also getting close to having to find out if you want to pay Rashee Rice. And said automobile accident and injury might be reasons why you might not want to. So it'd be nice to know if you had another version of Rashee Rice on your roster. So I do hope that they filter some of those design touches, those bubble screens, those tunnel screens, those things like that to Jalen Royals. I've got him for 250 yards and 2 touchdowns, which honestly I think is optimistic, but I want to believe that maybe he can take over Juju eventually. And also, like, I'm factoring in like Juju's going to get hurt. He kind of seems to.
Oh yeah, well, and it's important to know, like, Royals is not some wide receiver that's like Worthy or Brown, where he's a little bit smaller, he's a little bit skinnier. No, he's beefed up and he can run really fast. I could see him being like the X that comes out of nowhere, and I have him at 18 receptions for 162 yards, just based off of being just a little bit more conservative over where he was drafted and the position in the room. But he could come on really, really strong. Like 250 yards is not out of the realm of possibility for him. There's a real void outside of those 3 wide receivers, and Royals, absolutely. We talked about him pre-draft. We did a bunch of scouting on him. He's a player that can come in making an immediate impact. And plus, I really don't want to see Juju wearing the red and gold anymore. Not that he's a bad player. There's just so many other players with upside. I think Royals is one of those guys for sure.
Yeah, and I think it's worth having a strong blocking wide receiver. I think that's Juju. And, he's been willing to kind of take on a lesser role. But we've also seen him be able to do some of the Rashee Rice stuff. Going back to the AFC Championship, he had 2 really big plays there. So for Juju, I have 110 yards and 1 touchdown, right? Like I think like he's going to have his moment, and those will be good moments. I would love to be surprised by someone else, whether it be Elijah Badger, Tyquan Thornton, maybe it's Sky Moore season. Who knows? To me, I think that they keep 5 wide receivers. I think these are the 5, and these are the 5 guys I think will play a wide majority of the wide receiver snaps. What do you have for Juju?
I've got 203 and 1 touchdown. He's just one of those guys that has rapport with Mahomes, and it's like he's going to be on the field, whether we like it or not, whether there are other players that could maybe take his place. Like you said, dude, there's something to be said about a good blocking wide receiver, and Juju has taken the initiative. Hey, I'm going to become better at this, much better than he was earlier in his career, and I'm going to make sure that there's a roster spot for me. Juju will play snaps if he's on the roster, no matter what. That's just the way that we're at this point.
Yeah, and something that we've kind of highlighted before, the Chiefs don't have a true classic X as far as a receiver type, like that 6'2", 205 pound, 215 pound wide receiver. But all of these guys can take snaps in the slot and out wide. Both Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice in their last full seasons played. So for Rashee Rice, that's 2023. They took more snaps out wide than they did in the slot. Now, I will say, keep in mind too, the slot, it's not a position like left guard where like there's one place that you line up and you play that position. The slot, you can have 2 slots on one time. If you go empty, you can have 2 slot positions like in a single formation, right? There are different ways to get players open and use their schemes, their advantage, right? So I'm not necessarily sure that we have to worry about them not having a X receiver. I do think that Juju will play that, but a lot of times those things can be mitigated. We've seen Rashee Rice went on the outside before. There's plenty of examples of Jalen Royals doing that in college. And we've seen Hollywood Brown do that as well as the Z. So I do think that they are still a slightly small group, but I'm not sure that that's going to be a huge hindrance to them. Let's head on to the. Oh, go ahead. You're a wide receiver.
No, you're good. You're good. I was just gonna say there is a lot of redundancy in the room, but there is some places where players differ. Like I was just talking about Royals. Like he's a different player than Worthy, and he's even a little bit more different than Rice. Like all these guys have a specialty, but you're right. This is Andy Reid's room. He built.
I would care a little bit more if they had some sort of like track record with these big go up and get it guys. But I mean, we just time and time again, I've seen them pass over guys like that in the draft, seen guys like that not work out here in Kansas City. It just felt like they were trying to get away from DeAndre Hopkins as quickly as possible once they started getting Hollywood Brown back and Xavier Worthy in the fold. So I'm not gonna get too torn up about it. They have their type. It's very clear, and they've got some depth there. Like you've got 3 guys that can do Rashee Rice type of things. You've got 2 guys that can do Xavier Worthy type of things. Let's go to the tight ends, who will certainly play a big part in this. I'm interested to hear what you have for Travis Kelce.
This is the big question mark, right? Like when you're going through this list, definitely. This is the guy. You're like, man, where's he at? Is he 1,000 yards again, and they're force feeding him the ball, and he's got 130 receptions, or is he where I have him at 387 yards, 43 receptions, and 5 touchdowns, and he's a decoy? Wow. Yeah. I just see him as this kind of red zone threat that we're saving for the play. This is Jerick McKinnon, except he wears number 87 and he lines up on the line of scrimmage. That's where Kelce is to me at this point. I think that was probably the plan last year, but we had so many injuries that Kelce played the most snaps of his entire career. And it's like, guys, it's pretty well known, not 100% that this is Kelce's last season, but everybody's pretty damn sure. Let's save him. Let's get the very best of him in the playoffs, like Gronk did in Tampa Bay, and then just see whether he decides to come back, or then you're saving at least a little bit of room for him to come back the next year as well.
So I mean, are you thinking that they don't use him because of wanting to keep him fresh for the playoffs, or are you thinking that they don't use him or that he's not a productive player, like that? He's on the field and he's just not producing.
No, I think that his snaps are going to be cut significantly. Like I see him like Gronk, kind of late in his career, different players, different types of threats, but still very, very effective in the red zone. And I think Kelce's still got a lot of good football in him. It's just one of those situations where, like, if he goes down and the offense was so reliant on Kelce early in the season, then that really handicaps you going into the playoffs. And I don't think that's where Andy Reid wants to be. I think we want to peak at the right time. Kelce coming on late in the season is the perfect time to do that.
I totally agree that the snaps have to change. He took the most offensive snaps by any Chiefs player not named Patrick Mahomes or a starting offensive lineman. Mm-hmm. That is too much for a guy of his age. He needs to cut those in half, probably. Now, I do think that there's a situation where Travis Kelce is on the field less, but actually statistically more productive. I think that he needs to kind of evolve into that Jason Witten type of role where it's like just come out on third downs and passing downs, and then like let's just not even bother with you down on first downs or those type of things, run downs, etc. Like I think that's where they got to get more from Noah Gray, Wiley, Brennan Stool, whoever else you want to put on there. So for me, I actually have Kelce having a little bit of a resurgence. Well, not a resurgence, but he's at 823 and 3 last year. The yards are still pretty good. That's one of the best that's one of the best tight end seasons ever for an age 35-year-old tight end. There's just like he's in uncharted territory. Basically, the only players that are out there are like Tony Gonzalez and Antonio Gates, who are much different styles of players, right? I actually did look over Tony's page just to kind of see like what he was doing at this age. And keep in mind, he was playing in Atlanta at that time, had a good quarterback in Matt Ryan, but not Patrick Mahomes. His last 3 seasons, at age 35, 875 yards and 7 touchdowns, 930 yards and 8 touchdowns at age 36, and then 37, 859 and 8. That is a good.
That's insane, dude.
Tony Gonzalez is so freaking good, man. 14-time Pro Bowler, 6-time All-Pro, all 2000s team. Just crazy, man. But so for Kelce, I have 710 and 4 touchdowns. It's another step back, but I do think that he could actually be a better player this year as far as what you get for him. Like maybe you see those yards per catch go up. That's the thing. Like this offense cannot have 130 targets for Travis Kelce in it. It just can't. And also it's just wise to. Like we all think that this is Travis Kelce's last season. Don't run the entire offense through him, right? I think we all thought going in, and that there was even the talk in LA that like, oh, Travis Kelce, he's not getting the ball that much. Like, is he done? Is he cooked? Like, what's happening? And they force-fed the ball to Kelce, and then Mahomes throws an interception while targeting Kelce, and that's where the Rashee Rice injury happened. It was very clear that this offense was flowing through Rashee Rice up until that moment, and that's where they really kind of started to lose their way as far as what they were going to do. So the yards per reception, that's got to go. So his yards per reception have been dropping since 2020, where he had 13.5, which was career high for him. And obviously he was 31 years old then. 12.2 again in 2022, drops to 10.6 in 2023, drops to 8.5 last year. That's where they've got to see an improvement. So I'm hoping that he plays less, but is actually a better version of himself.
Yeah, 100%. Like that's the role he has to play, right? And if you're not just talking about this season, like I know we want to go back to another Super Bowl, but it's like offense has to evolve at some point. Kelce's not going to be here forever. Chris Jones isn't going to be here forever. Defensive line has got to improve as well. It's like, but at some point you got to take that leap and start to give some more guys some more responsibilities. This is the year to do it. You got 3 great players, 2 guys who are young coming up that can, play major snaps for you. This is the time.
Yeah. Okay. So speaking of that and just kind of moving on from Travis Kelce, what do you have for Noah Gray?
I see him as the next step. This is another one of the guys that I think has to take some responsibility, or has to be given some responsibility. I'm sure he's taken as much as he can get given how well he's played. But I have 627 yards, 5 touchdowns. I think Noah Gray is going to be the guy who's out there most of the time. He's one of those players that can play early and late downs. We've seen him block incredibly well. So I think that he's just provided so much value for the team that if Kelce's going to take a reduction in snaps, Gray's going to be that guy. I know we love Wiley. I think he could be fantastic, but Gray has just shown too much production, been too efficient to not, hand him the reins at this point.
Yeah, Noah Gray is just a quiet, very good win for Brett Veach and the Chiefs. This is a guy who's an undersized tight end. Like I remember talking about him a little bit and be like, well, could he be like a hybrid, like movable chess piece, play some fullback? Like I remember talking like, hey, maybe he's a little bit more Kyle Juszczyk than he is, Travis Kelce. And you take a player 169th overall or 162nd overall in the 5th round, undersized tight end from Duke, 6'3", 240. And he's gotten better every year. And now he's earned a second contract in Kansas City. Yards per season, 36 his rookie year, 299 his second year, 305 his next year. Last year, all-time high in yards per reception and yards at 437 with 5 touchdowns. So I have him just taking another nice little step, 490 yards and 3 touchdowns, right? Like I'm not sure that we're ever going to see like people taking Noah Gray and as their tight end 1 in fantasy football. You're just not replacing Travis Kelce. Everybody knows that. And I think the future of the tight end position here in Kansas City looks a little bit more like what they've been building with Gray, with Wiley, with Brenningstool, where it's, more of by committee. You've got some nice athletic players who can do some nice things. But at the end of the day, you're not going to have another guy that can just be like, Travis Kelce in his prime. When you can line him on the backside of a 3-by-1 formation, he can win as your ISO X, right? Like that's special. Like think about that touchdown against the Buffalo Bills in overtime of the 13 seconds game. He's lined up outside, wins on the outside on a slot on a fade. Like that's special stuff from a tight end. You're not going to get that from a guy like Noah Gray.
Against their stopper, like Matt Milano was the guy that they drafted to top Travis Kelce.
No, like I watch quite a bit of NFL, and you know that now, getting into the charting and stuff that I do. Christian's starting to work at FTN, by the way. So Christian's getting full exposure into the charting and stuff. You will come to really appreciate and really not appreciate certain offenses. But I swear, Matt Milano's reputation does not precede himself. Like, everybody talks about how great of a player Matt Milano is, and then he plays against the Chiefs, and it's just like they just pick at him constantly.
Mm-hmm.
He must have great games against everyone else, not the Chiefs. Okay, real quick, Jared Wiley coming off the ACL. We're not entirely sure if he's going to be ready to go day one. What do you have for him? Just one catch last year.
I'm thinking 18 receptions, 210 yards, and 1 touchdown. I think he's going to be a deep threat guy. I think they're going to line him up in the 2 tight end sets, and that's about all he's going to get. And he's going to be that guy that runs up the seam, that once every couple games just catches a 30 or 40-yard bomb from Patrick Mahomes, and they go, well, what are you supposed to do? Like that. That's Jared Wiley to me. We haven't seen enough of him, obviously, with the injury, but he's still a guy that, played well in college, was a deep threat in college, has the frame to be a good red zone guy. Again, I just think Travis Kelce is going to take that spot over. I think him and Noah Gray, there's not going to be much left on the bone for Jared Wiley.
Yeah, I agree. And I do think that Brennan still will at least cut into snaps. I'm not sure, we're going to be talking about a guy who's highly productive, but I looked at Jody Fortson's 2022, which was his best year. 9 receptions, 108 yards, 2 touchdowns. I've got Wiley at 120 and 1. I think that he'll play. I think that blocking is going to be his primary thing, but he might have a few opportunities here and there to be just kind of the forgotten man, right? So that kind of rounds out the pass catchers. Now let's get to Patrick Mahomes. What do you have for Patrick Mahomes' full stat line?
I've got him at 4,780 passing yards, 36 passing touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 4 rushing touchdowns, and a 66% completion percentage. So Patrick Mahomes, I think it was 67.5 or 67.2 this past year for completion percentage. Did a very, very good job at that. I just think we've got all these weapons. Mahomes, I mean, you saw it in the Super Bowl. He's tired of dinking and dunking. Now we've got the guys we can actually throw deep and be an explosive offense with. I see the interception. Some of those interceptions were kind of fluky this past year. Kind of, there's always some of that for a quarterback, but I just see them finally getting his groove back, coming back, putting almost a 5,000-yard passing season and being an explosive offense again. Like, it's been so long since we've had, and you said it before, a wide receiver group that we have not talked the whole offseason about building chemistry with Patrick Mahomes. Like, we got a full offseason. Everybody's played with him at this point, besides Jalen Royals, obviously. Let's just get to it. Let's get back to form. I think this is Mahomes' year.
Yeah, I think, the unspoken thing that we haven't talked a lot about here is we've not talked about offensive line, right? And that was a major factor in their ability to pass the ball last year. We're not entirely sure what they're going to get this year. It's really easy to, from an outsider's perspective, those of us who don't live in Kansas City and love this team or aren't Chiefs fans, to say, hey, they're starting 2 rookies on the left side of their offensive line. They traded away an all-pro and Joe Thuney, and Juwan Taylor's not great. This is highly scary, and Jalen Moore has not really proved much as a starter himself. But if what we hope to be true is true, this would, this is probably the best tackle play that they've had, hopefully, since Donovan Smith, and it could even be better, right? And I think what you're saying and what we're saying is that we think that they can make this work on offensive line. I think the most important thing is that they've given themselves a floor that they've not had in the past, where last year it was Kingsley Suamataia or Wanya Morris. Now Wanya Morris is playing like C at left tackle. If Wanya Morris is playing left tackle for the Chiefs this year, they've had some really poor injury luck. And, it does stink that Joe Thuney's not here, but I do think that, the pendulum has swung a little bit too far in Kingsley Suamataia, but I think he's capable of playing guard. And if he's not, I think they also have other bodies that are capable of doing that. I still think Norzad could do that. So with all that being said, I've got Mahomes also, kind of having a bounce back year here, 4,650 yards or 4,650 yards, 38 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and a couple of rushing touchdowns as well. I didn't do completion percentage, but notably, one thing that I kind of didn't factor in, you did receiving yards for your back. So Pacheco, Hunt, Smith, Rice, Brown, all those guys, their receiving yards didn't quite total up to my yardage total. So I have another 270 yards just coming from other people. Maybe that's Elijah Mitchell. Maybe those are from the backs. Maybe that's from a player who's not on the roster right now, right? Like whenever McCole Hardman gets traded back to the Chiefs or whatever. So that's where that comes from. Definitely a better year. I don't think this is going to be a 5,050, and let's be real, we're probably not going to see that again. But that's a season that is a really good quarterback season. Like Josh Allen last year, like won the MVP. Obviously, the total touchdowns are super high because of the rushing and the tush push that he does and everything. But last year, his MVP season, as far as 3,731 yards, that's not a lot of yards. 28 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. That's like Josh Allen, his last 2 years, 29 touchdowns, 28 touchdowns. Allen, the big thing for him was cutting down those interceptions from 18 to 6 last year. So I think that Chiefs fans would be thrilled with that type of season.
Oh, 100%. And we get kind of blinded. We're spoiled here in KC. Like we're expecting 5,000 yards every single season. When Mahomes puts up like a 3,800 like he did this past year, it's like, man, what the hell is going on? Like he must not be good anymore. It's like, no, that's still pretty damn good for a quarterback. And 45, 47, whatever we have him at, whatever it ends up being, it's fantastic. That's one of the greatest quarterback seasons of all time. Once you get into that 45 plus, that's insane territory. That's all-time great territory.
I just saw this headline, and I just have to interject it here, and then we'll get on to the defense real quickly. New York Post just posted on X, Deshaun Watson is taking quotation marks, taking Shadur Sanders under his wing as a mentor to be the Browns QB.
Oh, God. Oh, please, no, dude. I have him in fantasy.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what that would be an analogy for, like arsonist teaches children how to handle fire safety. Something like that. Like, oh my God, that sounds incredible. I cannot wait to see how that goes. Maybe he's going to go for like, hey, here's what not to do. I'm not sure. Like do the opposite of what I do.
Yeah, I mean, that's best case scenario, right? But Shador's kind of in his own thing right now anyway, isn't he? Like he just got 2 speeding tickets for driving over 100 miles an hour. Deshaun, I don't think he needs any help. I think he's doing what you did almost to your expertise there.
Yeah, man, I'm not sure that that's the voice that he needs in his ear. Is another player who has had a lot surrounding them. Okay, let's go to the defense. Rapid fire. George Karlaftis, how many sacks for him?
11. Best season of his career.
Same number for me, but not by much, right? He had 10.5 2 years ago, 8 this year. So I've got him at 11. What do you got for Bones Chris Jones?
7. But 3 forced fumbles.
Yeah, I went with 8.5. That I think last year was a bit of a fluke. I think it'll be better this year, but I think we might be out of the double digits. I went and looked at Cam Hayward for him. A little bit different style defense, right? With the 3-4, where he's kind of playing more of a defensive end, but still. What do you have for rookies Ashton Gelati and Omar Norman-Lott?
I've got 3 for Gelati and 2 for Omar Norman-Lott. It's just so difficult to get sacks as a D tackle. Like it's real tough.
I did Gelati 4, Norman-Lott 3. What do you have for a Menahu?
3. I think he's a. You went
8. I think
you went 8.
I think there's a chance that. Well, I think honestly, man, I think there's a shot that Charles Omenihu, a healthy Charles Omenihu, which we've not seen a healthy, non-suspended Charles Omenihu season here in Kansas City. Now, I do understand. You look at his sack totals. Best year, 2023, he had 7. I think could be the best pure pass rusher on the team. He's the one guy that I feel has the ability to win a rep without bull rush power that it's taken him a while to get there. He can win a snap in 3 seconds or less. So I think that's where this Chiefs pass rush has an avenue to get better. And another year removed from the ACL. So I went big with him, but I do think that there's a chance. And then Norman-Lott, 3, I think like he's going to get some opportunities there. Who leads the team in interceptions? I bet I know who you picked.
You think?
Yes.
Okay, so here we go. So I'm just gonna go year by year. I've got 4 years. The past 4 years, who has led the team in interceptions? Hicks last year with 3. L'Jarius Sneed the year before with 2. Juan Thornhill in 2022 with 3, and then Tyrann Mathieu in 2021 with 3. It's got to be Jaden Hicks. Like he has a nose for the ball. Yep. He's just been in position every single time. He played limited snaps this past year. Now he's taken the main role. Like this is perfect for him to just step up and get 4 or 5 interceptions this year.
Yep, that's who I have as well. I love what I've seen from him. I think, you might be able to talk yourself into Noah Williams, but I'm not sure he's going to play enough to be able to lead the team in interceptions. So for that reason, I have Jaden Hicks. So it'll be fun to kind of check in and see how all these went. We hope you have a great 4th of July. Stay safe. Please keep all of your fingers. Jason Pierre-Paul was a great football player, but you don't have to do everything that he does. Okay. So do keep all of your digits. Stay safe, stay responsible. It's a great time of year. It's a lot of fun. Just take care of yourselves. We will have a show every single day of the week, except probably not the 4th of July. I'm pretty sure we don't have a show on the 4th, but okay. So we don't have a show the 3rd or the 4th. Sources are now telling me, but we will have a show tomorrow. We will have a show on Wednesday. So do be checking those out. And keep it covered here. Stay with us. We're going to be going all the way up through training camp. Christian and I will be at training camp taking a look at the players. So we're excited to do all that with you. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you so much for producer Richard, who always does a great job. And from all of us here at Arrowhead Addict, it's Go Chiefs.